Hello. I am exhausted as always. Who's surprised? I've been having. Oh, dude, our days have been so fucking intense lately. I. Even more intense than like usual, where I would say that was also intense. Like, there's not really any break from intense, I guess, but they've been even more intense than usual, and I'm exhausted from it. I had like this. Get the fucking heater, because no. I had this kind of tiring encounter with this dude in the shop where oh, let me read my journal notes, get back to you. It was like, it took a while of like processing and journaling to work out why I'd even been triggered and like what the fuck had gone on. And it was basically just standing in the queue, and me and Val were speaking, because that's getting easier actually. I'm only like getting mild panic symptoms and like feeling my heart beat a bit faster whenever we talk to each other in front of people. I'm kind of getting used to it. So that's kind of still a bit anxious, still a bit panicky, but you know, more and more able to do it. But this guy started, just turned and like did a double take, and but I'm kind of used to people doing that, but usually because we're talking to each other, and also because we dress a little bit weird. So he just did his double take, but then just turned fully to face me and was just like fucking staring at me in this like, oh, it was just this really triggering way that he was like leering, and like he wasn't sort of trying to hide it. He was just looking at me and looking me up and down and having this conversation with me about petrol and gas. And I was so torn between like, I don't want to be I don't want to be unpleasant to somebody undeserved ever. And also other parts of me are like, fuck this, we shouldn't, like, that includes us. Our discomfort is important. We should be able to say, why the fuck are you talking to us? Stop fucking talking to us. You're leering at me is making me really uncomfortable. Or just like, but I'm always thinking like, what if there's a reason? What if I've got it wrong? Even though your gut knows, you recognize. So it's just internal gaslighting. But I'm always like, well, I don't want to make a mistake and be unpleasant to somebody who doesn't deserve it. That's basically what it comes down to, I think. So it's like this really fast paced, in the moment attempt to compromise between all parts of me by being like not so people pleasing and so like, yeah, this is the best conversation in the world. I really care about petrol prices. So like not that inauthentic and not that like hyper focused on making it seem, because I felt very drawn to like, I've got to make sure he doesn't think I'm weirded out, is the impulse. It's got to, I am responsible for making sure this interaction looks and feels comfortable even though I'm not. So that's like how it feels, the panic of like, he can't know I'm uncomfortable. I've got to keep up the hey little papa. I got to keep up the like the facade of everything being totally normal and comfortable. So like just blank what I'm feeling entirely, blank the fact that I'm really uncomfortable, and try and make it seem smooth and seem normal. And that's like the strong urge that part of me is pulled to feel like I have to do as a matter of life or death. And the other part of me has like the strong pull to be like, no, fuck off completely. My gut doesn't like you. And there's like this attempt not to dismiss or abandon either part while he's talking, trying to find this solution, this perfect solution that doesn't exist. So what I ended up doing was being like, kind of visibly weirded out, I think. I think my body language and my tone probably conveyed how I felt, and I was polite in words, and I didn't say very much. And I was like, yeah, gas prices are terrible. Um, I didn't like how, like, I could have talked less, even. I was just like, yep, I've noticed that. Somebody in here even commented on how often we come back to pay for gas. And he was like, oh, and the petrol. And I was like, wouldn't know, I don't drive. And he was like, oh, well, I do. I was like, a lot of, like, looking away from him and, like, looking a bit. I said something at one point. He was like, this is the busiest day. This is, this is such a busy day for the shops, isn't it? But, like, I can't explain because, this sounds really normal, but when you're in it, it's like, I'm pretty sure everybody observing this conversation felt uncomfortable by the way he was, like, fully facing and just looking up and down, and just, like, fucking, the intensity was wrong, and the gaze was wrong, and the lingering eye contact was, like, far too long. And then I said, like, yeah, allegedly this is the restful day, and he laughed for, like, way too many seconds. It wasn't a funny comment. It was just, like, really uncomfortable, the whole thing. And so I managed to kind of compromise between not, like, helping the conversation to be that smooth or seem that comfortable when it wasn't, and not feigning interest that I didn't have, but I also feel a little bit self-abandoned because I just stopped talking. Me and Val were talking, and I just stopped talking to him to respond to this guy, which he insists is absolutely the normal thing to have done in a self-preserving way. It was like the only thing that a host would be able to do in that situation, but I fucking hate it. And I wish I'd just been like, politely answered him once and then been like, excuse me, we're in a conversation, and just got back to talking to each other. That would have been my preferred response. But I was just so kind of thrown, and, like, I think I was triggered just by the way he was looking at me immediately, and I didn't really register why or how much until we got back and I journaled about it. I was just like, kind of torn. Like, I got back and I journaled about what I didn't like, how I felt kind of self-abandoned because I'd even responded at all with some interest, like, I care about gas prices that much. I also was understanding and forgiving and compassionate with myself because I understand how it has been important for our survival to make things run smoothly. I feel like it wasn't the worst compromise in the world between all of our needs, and I'm okay with learning as I go. I didn't feign total comfort in my body language and my tone and my replies, which was good. I'm proud about that. It's just really weird, like, how hard it was, and how, like, fast paced it felt, and how urgent it felt to come up with how I wanted to respond in a way that aligned with my values when I have such drastically different values at the minute in so many parts of me all trying to merge together. It's like moments like that my actions will either help to cement or further separate the fusion going on. It's like every day, like day to day, just regular sort of moments. And it feels very manual. It used to feel like everything ran on autopilot when I was ignoring how we felt and just responding in a people-pleasing way, and that was worse. That was definitely much worse. And it felt coded and scripted, you know, so it's like I didn't really have to think about what I was saying. Whereas now it's like, while I'm in these situations and all these emotions that I'm feeling and not suppressing are coming up, and I'm registering them and not blocking them out, I'm also trying to think about what aligns with our values, all of us, without dismissing any part of me, and how to respond in a way that aligns with all of those. And it's like, fuck, man, it's like a really intense quick time event, and it's hard. It's really hard. There were things I liked and things I didn't like about how I responded. The conversation was like a little drawn out for my liking, but relatively quick because the queue wasn't that long. And then when I got back and I started journaling, I was like able to work out what had creeped me out so much, what elements I liked in how I responded, what elements I want to improve in future. Spent a little time like thinking about what I am gonna do if that happens again. Like if I'm talking to somebody and they make me uncomfortable in that because if it's like really overt and what they're doing is obviously creepy or obviously like not okay, then it's kind of easier. And like probably Val or D or somebody or even a part of me, actually at this point I think any of us would be okay to be like, no, fuck off. But if somebody's like being polite on the face of things and there's uncertainty, you know, it's the risk of harming somebody that doesn't deserve it. It makes me second guess myself so much to the point where I don't feel comfortable displaying our own discomfort, which isn't right. And I think that's the main part that I didn't like. So I'm happy in the ways that I displayed it. I'm happy that I noticed immediately after the interaction, and I'm happy that I was forgiving with myself about that. And in future, I just want to be able to sit in the discomfort that I will experience without hiding it in a way so that I'm capable of being like, you're making me uncomfortable. I don't want to talk right now. I don't like the way you're looking at me. Or just literally walk off to the back of the queue and blank them. Like, you know, whatever it is, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to center our experience and prioritize our comfort above people's that we interact with. It's just never something I've done. It's really hard. And I think that highlights that, because I guess what was happening internally and externally there was I was trying to find a balance to center everyone's experience, but I was slightly prioritizing his over ours. Although I was trying to balance it, you know? So I want to center our comfort more as I move forwards, and I acknowledge that. And I didn't completely abandon us, and that's cool. And it's really hard, and I can see that. And it's okay to like fumble along and find your footing as you go, kind of walking in the dark here. So okay, I think I'm gonna do separate videos because it's kind of one topic. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're all having like, oh god, they're just the best day. I hope you're having a fucking fantastic week. I hope that everything is as minimally shit as it could possibly be. Actual socializing has gotten really hard for us in the last few days. We're trying not to like withdraw and shit, but for now, if we're slow to get back to people, you know, our connection circuitry is prior engaged with protection at the minute, and it's difficult to get it rewired. And we thank you all for your understanding and patience, and really hope you're having an amazing time.